I think we'll go ahead and get started. I'm Tonya, and it's an honor to be here to guide your practice today. This is a comeback yoga all levels class. So if you've never done yoga, this is a good place to be. If you've done yoga, this is a good place to be. You can make it more challenging for yourself, or you can back out of, of the challenge and make it doable for you. Remember in these classes that you have autonomy over your own body. So it's really important that you, if you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling like you need to stop, can stop the recording or stop the live class even, and pick it back up whenever you feel ready. Comeback Yoga is a nonprofit organization based out of Denver, Colorado. We have classes in person along the Front Range of Colorado and here online, reaching you all over the world in the benefits of yoga for you, for your comrades, for your team, and we're here for you. So I hope that you get something out of today's session. We'll be starting with a little bit of warm up for the joints and then doing a standing pose or two, and then coming back to the mat for our final stretch and relaxation. 45 minutes is how long we'll be here. And if you have a yoga blanket or just a large bath or beach towel, you'll want to grab that for today's session. And let's get started without further ado. But feel free to type anything in the chat if you have any questions or would like to share anything. Love to hear from you. And just let me know for sure that you can hear me. If you have that option, you can just do it by hitting the thumbs up option, just letting me know that you can hear me. I'd really appreciate it. I have a green light, but I just want to make sure that you have a good experience on your end, both audio and visually. All right, so let's do it. We're going to go ahead and come down onto the mat. And if you have that towel, we're going to take the towel and you split it in half. So I started out with just kind of a standardized length here and then fold it in half. And then you can take the unfolded side, or actually let's take this unfolded side and we'll roll it like yay. So it'll just be like this, a little bit wider than your hips, a little bit maybe as wide as your mat if you're using a mat. And then we'll come down onto our mat. All right. So we're going to take the blanket or the towel and just place it behind our knees. You're going to come to the knees and you're going to place that maybe just on the calf, maybe below the calf or behind the knee. You choose where you like it to be. You're going to bring your toes towards one another. Your knees are going a little bit wider than your hips, and we'll come down into the pose of a child. So you're going to find just the right spot for you. I actually like it a little bit higher above my calf. That's going to take some of that pain and pressure out of my knees. Now, you might not have issues with your knees like I do, but let's just say that you do. And you're going to come down onto maybe your forehead comes down and your arms can go forward. And we'll just take a couple moments here. If this is way too intense still, then keep your hips up high. Maybe even lift your heels up so that you're not putting so much weight back on those calves. This first child's pose can seem like a little too intense at first, so let's just give ourselves permission to just settle in for 3 more breaths. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose if possible. And breathing in, feeling your sides expand, your hips, your torso, and exhaling up and out. One more breath. Inhaling, broadening through your ribs. And exhaling, letting it out. Good. All right, and then walk those hands back. We'll take the towel now and place it behind our feet. And we'll come onto the towel into a little squat. So your heels resting maybe on that towel. If that's still not high enough, you can make your towel a little bit higher. And then we're going to rock forward and then rock back. If you'd rather, you can keep the towel even behind your knees still, because that can be really nice as well. I like to do that as well, so you don't have to come all the way down onto those heels. Um, might try it with the blanket behind the knees. And we'll just do a couple more times, forward and back. Good. And then coming down, and we'll come on around and maybe sit on your towel for a moment here. And just to get those hips a little upright. And now extend one leg out in front of you and grab your other foot and just kind of massage your toes, the space between your toes, the bottoms of your feet. And maybe taking the ankle across onto your opposite knee and circling your ankle, circling the foot, circling the other way. And then straightening out that leg and grabbing your other foot, massaging toes, space between the toes, bottoms of your feet. Taking your ankle across to the knee, circling your ankle. Other way. Good. And then straightening out both legs. Flex your feet towards your knees and then point your feet. And then flex and point. Flex and point and flex and point. Good. Now cross your ankles, sitting up on the towel here. And we'll do a seated cat cow. So hands onto your knees or shins. With your next inhale, lift your chest up, draw your shoulders and elbows back. And exhaling, rounding. Inhaling, draw yourself through, maybe look up. And exhale to round. Two more times. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Good. Now placing your feet a little bit wider than your hips, maybe to the outside edges of your mat. And here, maybe coming down off of the towel. Your hands are coming behind. Come up onto those fingertips and just do a little bit of movement side to side in those legs. You might find that maybe you can arch your back a little bit. It's kind of warming up the spine here as well as the hips. And just going to the range of motion that feels acceptable to your body this morning or today, whenever you're watching. One more time. Good. All right, and then scooch back if you need to. We'll drop those knees off to one side and bring your opposite arm back up overhead and then circle it down and around, up and down and around, up, down and around. And then hold it up and circle your top wrist. Circle the other way. And maybe go back the other way. And then bringing that arm back behind you, maybe wrapping your hand around the waist and maybe coming down onto your forearm if you like here. opening up your chest and your shoulder. And then release, bringing that hand around and come up for the other side. Well, first, let's do a little bit of more movement side to side. All right. And then let those knees come down to the other side. So they're kind of into a 90-90 position. And your hand comes behind. We'll circle that top arm around. Noticing if there's clunking. I have clunking, so I'm going to try not to go to the point of clunking and go the other way. And then bring that hand down and back up. Let's circle the wrist. Circle the other way. And then bringing that hand back behind your waist. Maybe it lands on your hip, your back, or maybe it wraps around your waist. And maybe you stay there or come down onto your forearm. All right. And then coming on around, crossing your ankles, holding onto your shins again for 3 rounds of cat cow. Adding breath with movement. All right, good. Draw your legs together, place your feet out in front of you, and hands either just out to the sides, fingers pointing outward or backward, whatever you like, and just lifting your chest a little here and releasing. Now take your fingers forward towards your feet, maybe lean back, maybe bending the elbows a little bit, lifting your chest, and here maybe straightening those arms a little bit, and then bending. Good. Now we're going to lift up into a reverse tabletop. So choose a position of the hands that feels okay. I like to have my hands turned out for this, the heels of the hands pressing down. I'm going to walk my feet in just a little bit closer towards my hips. And then on an inhale, lift your hips up for a reverse tabletop. And then exhale, lower your hips back down. Again, inhale, lifting the hips up for reverse tabletop. And exhale, lowering the hips down. One more time. Push down into the fingers, lift hips, and go ahead and lower down. Crossing the other ankle in front. Cross your wrists. Palms face one another, and then clasp. We'll bring those hands now, those clasped hands through to the chin, and then forward, and then back to the chin, and forward, and back to your chin. Good. Bring those arms forward. Take your other wrist on top. So just switch, clasp, and let's do that 3 times here. So chin and extend. Chin, extend. One more time. Chin and extend. Good. And then release your hands. And we're going to come into a forward fold. So first thing we're going to do is grab our towel and have it available. So when we come into our fold, we'll take the towel underneath our heels so that the heels are elevated. And you might have a bend in the knees, or your hands might be, or you might have your legs straight. And maybe you'd like to place your elbows initially here on your legs. And we'll hold this for a couple of breaths. If you feel dizzy, take the head in line with the heart. And then bring your hands down, just walk your feet back behind so that the front of your foot is on the towel. All right. And here we're going to drop those hips down and just enough that you can bring your hands to the floor comfortably. And then on your exhale, lift your hips up and lower your head. Your legs might go straight or might not. Bending your knees, looking forward, and exhale, straightening those legs and letting your head release. Two more. Inhale, hips lower. Exhale and extend. You might have your feet hip distance or a little bit wider even for the next two. Inhaling, lowering hips. And exhale, straighten. Last one. All right, remove that towel. And you're going to place the towel behind the backs of those knees. And we're going to come down into a little squat. So maybe coming to here. Maybe that's still too much and you'd like to not use the towel and you can be here. So have your feet a little bit wider than the hips, maybe. Sometimes that's a little bit easier on the knees. It's a variation of kind of the same thing as we would be doing in child's pose that we did a moment ago, the beginning, but here we're in a squat. All right. And then from here, we'll take the hands down, straighten up those legs, and fold forward. And let's take two more breaths here in this fold. All right. You can move the towel out of the way and walk your hands and feet into a downward facing dog. Let's just see how any of that footwork, that calf work, that ankle work has affected your downward dog. Take two more breaths here, inhaling to the side ribs, exhaling out. Inhale, side ribs, and exhale out. Nice work. All right, we'll just bring the feet and the hands together. So walking them towards one another to a fold. You might end up about halfway, or maybe you end up all the way to the front of your mat. Just depends. Just nodding your head a couple of times here. Maybe even turning it side to side a little bit, or even rotating your head. All right. And we're going to take our hands down and step one leg back and then step it forward. Step the other leg back. So not quite in a lunge, but keeping those hands down onto the ground. Good. And then step forward. All right. And then bend your knees. Bring your hands onto your lap and rise all the way up to stand. Coming all the way up. And take a moment, get your bearings. And then coming up to the toes and back down to the heels. To the toes or the toe mounds and to the heels. Two more, lifting up and down, lifting up and down. We'll actually do one more and we're going to try to hold it here. So coming up nice and easy. And down. Good. All right. And now taking one leg and kind of bending the knee out in front of you, and then just going side to the front, to the side, to the front. Like side and front, side and front. Good. And then lower, switch sides, side, front. You might just be resting your hand on your hip. All right. Great. Now face the long edge of your mat and step your legs out wide. So maybe if you could imagine your arms or your wrists just about over those feet or over those ankles approximately. So it's kind of a long stance. It can feel that way, especially if maybe you have shorter legs or longer or shorter torso. There can be some variations in all body types. So you want to challenge yourself, but not to the point maybe of pain. All right, inhale, take your arms out to the sides and turn your toes out. On your exhale, bend your knee, warrior two. Push down and let's lift the arms and straighten the leg. Let's do that two more times. Bend your knee, lower your arms, tracking any pain or discomfort in that knee. One more time, just going nice and slow, slowing that breath down to stay present and steady with breath. Good. All right, let's add a reverse warrior here. So reaching your arm up towards the ceiling, floating the opposite arm down, and maybe coming down a little deeper if that feels okay in the hips. And then come back to warrior two. And then reversing again, or exalted warrior, reaching up, side stretch, and back to warrior two. One more time. The legs stay steady and stable. The arm lifts. Good. I know. Starting to feel fatigued. Me too. Straighten out that leg. And now slide your hand down your leg to about just above the knee. And then your other arm goes up, maybe all the way up. Maybe your hand comes down a little bit more below the knee without locking your knee. And maybe you come down even further to maybe your ankle or the floor. That's it. Let's take two more breaths here. All right, bending that knee, take your hand down to the floor and walk around to the long edge of your mat. Your toes pointing in slightly, heels out slightly, and fold over your legs, maybe grabbing your shins or your ankles. All right, and bending your knees, hands coming onto your lap and rise all the way up. I've kind of slid out a little bit, so maybe walking it in a little bit if you like, and then turning your other toes out to the other side. Taking your arms out nice and wide and exhaling, bending that front knee. Straightening, arms rise. Exhaling and bend. Just notice any sensation in that knee, maybe even in your hips. If your back foot's lifting, notice that. And we'll rise up one more time and then come down. And here, let's reverse our warrior, exalted warrior for 3 times. Back to warrior two. Reverse and warrior two. One more. Reverse and warrior two. Straighten out that leg. Get really tall. Take your hand to your leg. Keep your side body long and slide your hand maybe down just to the knee without collapsing. So we want to really keep strong and integrated. Maybe coming down a little bit more without locking your knee, maybe even pressing your hand against your shin and your shin against your hand. Maybe coming down even a little more. I'm just going to show different variations of this triangle pose. So you just arrive wherever feels best for you for two more breaths. This is one of my favorite poses, not to be biased, but I love it because I feel like it gets a big stretch almost everywhere. All right, bend your knee and we'll come up. And different approach to our forward fold. So turn your feet forward, bring your hands to your back, and just take a little bit of a lift, your shoulders going back, your elbows going back, And then from here, keeping that kind of uplift as you come forward. So just keep coming down and then bring your hands to your knees, your shins, your ankles, or the floor. All right. Bend your knees slightly and walk over to one side of your mat. So you're coming into a lunge. We'll release the back knee down and maybe point the foot or keep those toes lifted. And then inhale, both arms lift for a crescent lunge. And exhale, take it down. Lift your back knee and we'll walk over to the other side, pivoting on your feet. Maybe you're using that blanket under your knees. Release your knee down. Inhale, push down into your front foot. Feel the strength and stability in those legs as you rise into your crescent. And exhale, take it down to the ground. Lifting up again, walk around. We'll do one more time on each side. Adding breath if you haven't already. Breath and movement linked. Extending that exhale and inhale if possible. Last one, coming around and down. So working the hips in all different directions, yeah? As well as our spine. Good. Coming down. All right. And lift up and walk around. We got a twist now. So walk all the way around to that first side. Lower your knee down. Use your hand to lift up. Your other arm goes up. And then bring it forward for the twist, facing your front knee. Maybe clasping the hands or bringing the hands into prayer. And assisting yourself up with your hand. And then take it down. Let's go the other side, lifting up, walking around, pivoting, knee coming down. Press yourself up. Use your hand and arm. Reach forward now. Keep reaching forward and then twist over that knee. Great. And then come on back. And this time we're going to take our hand down to the ground and straighten the front leg. Pushing down into that front foot to get a little bit of a micro bend in the knee. And then coming forward, lift up, and we'll go back to the first side for that hamstring stretch. So the knee coming down and straightening out your leg. Good. And then coming forward, we'll bring that back knee in and have a seat. We're going to do boat pose now. So I would encourage, for me, anyways, I need to have a little bit of cushioning under my hips. So if you want to unfold your blanket, unroll it, and then come back and have a seat on the blanket or the towel. And then grab the back of your legs, start to lean back, and your legs might float. Maybe your toes stay down. Maybe your shins lift. So you don't want to be on the tailbone. So find a position that feels okay for your body. We'll take those arms maybe parallel. Maybe your legs extend for boat. Feel it in your front for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Grab those legs and come forward. We'll have a seat crossing the ankles, sitting up tall. Take 2 more breaths. Great. All right, extend one leg forward and take your back leg around and across. So for a seated twist, your foot presses down. You can hold on to your shin or your knee or hook your knee. With your inhale, get nice and tall as you rotate. Keep that length, shoulders dropping down away from the ears. Keep using your exhale to turn from the inside as you gaze over your back shoulder, noticing something on the wall, favorite object, maybe picking out a color, texture. And coming back through the center. Take that foot to the inside and lower your knee to the side. So if this doesn't feel good on this bent knee, you can place a towel behind the knee or something under your knee. So facing your straight leg, bring your arms up overhead, and then exhale, reach for your leg, your foot, anywhere it is accessible. Breathing as deeply as possible in the fold and just unraveling any tension in your back or your hips. All right, and then coming on up, switching legs for the twist. So other leg goes straight. Bring your foot around, press down. You can even bring your hand behind for support. And maybe your twist isn't much. This is actually a twist already, just sort of facing the knee. Otherwise, if you want more of a twist, you do it with a long spine, always considering lengthening the spine as we turn. And again, maybe you continue that turn as you look over your shoulder towards the wall behind you, finding an object to focus on. And then coming back. Bring your foot inside, knee out. Maybe there's a bend in your knee. Reach up and exhale, come forward. Maybe your leg goes straight. And finding those long, easy breaths. Two more breaths. Feeling that tension unraveling. And inhale, rise up. Great. All right, both legs forward for final hurrah here. So legs forward, maybe there's a little bend in the knees. Bring your arms up. And on your exhale, extend forward. Keep reaching forward till you can't reach anymore. You kind of feel a little sticking point. You might have your hands on your feet, ankles, floor. Maybe you pull the toes back with your hands and use your feet to press and elongate your legs, your spine, your torso. And then bending a little bit again in those knees. Look forward, rise up, and we'll remove the towel or the blanket off to the side. And grabbing behind your legs, tucking your chin, and roll down. As you come down, those legs will slowly come off the ground. And bring your knees to your chest, either wrapping your hands around the back of the legs or the fronts of the shins. And then placing your feet to the floor, letting your knees fall together, and wrap your arms around your chest and grab opposite elbows or shoulders. With your next inhale, look to one side with your head and eyes. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, look to the other side, turning your head. Inhale, come back to center. Open your arms and change the cross of those elbows, squeezing in and down. Inhale, head turns to the side. And exhale to center. Inhale, other side. And exhale, center. And releasing arms down, maybe keeping them on your body, maybe using that towel or blanket for your head or under your knees as we have reached our final relaxation segment of class. So get yourself comfortable. I'll be sitting up so that I can guide you in today's final relaxation. But maybe you would like to sit up as well. So getting yourself comfortable in a place that you could sustain for 5 to 7 minutes. Once you have found that final resting place for today's session, is there any way that you could allow a little bit more stillness, a little bit more quiet in your body? Are your eyelids still? Certainly, your body is moving with your breath, but maybe there's some fidgeting in your fingers or your toes. They'll guide you through a body scan. So, first, noticing the breath as it's coming in through your nose or your mouth and back out. Noticing the area around your nose, your cheeks, your eyes, your body progressively coming to a state of ease and comfort. Noticing your forehead, your temples, the sides of your head, your ears, the back of your head, the top of your head, the area around your head. If your head is resting on the surface, the inside of your mouth, progressively relaxing, coming to a state of ease. Your throat, your jaw, the inside of your mouth, your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your fingers, your hips, your torso, your back, your hips, your legs, your ankles, your feet, your toes, noticing your whole body, the bottoms of your feet, the legs, your hips, your arms, your torso, shoulders, neck, head, and back down, all the way down to your feet. Allowing breath like a wave form, rising and falling, feeling the wholeness, the completeness that you are in this moment, timeless, spacious, secure, stable, open, receptive, peaceful. Stay for several more moments in silence and complete awareness. Begin now to welcome your attention back to your surroundings, including my voice, any sounds from the room that you're in, maybe your breath, noticing the surface you're resting on. Just begin to welcome in uh, your senses and this felt sense of well being as you begin to emerge into the world with this felt sense. And if you are lying down and would like to come up into a seated position and join me for closing our time together, I'm bringing those hands together and taking a moment of gratitude and reverence of maybe just one thing you got from today's session, something that you'd like to keep with you as long as possible until we meet again. Thank you for being here. It's been an honor. Releasing the hands and lifting the gaze. I hope you have a great day. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, donate if you have the funds, and see us in person if you are in Colorado. All right. Take good care. Be very, very well. Until next time.